There is undoubted trouble afoot for the Labour government, and nobody better to speak to it about than the legend that is Isabel Oakeshott, Talk's international editor. We went viral online for our last interview. Do you know that?
How are we going to repeat that, Jeremy? Have you got some ideas?
No, I spoke to a couple and they said you knew exactly what you were saying. I certainly didn't. That's absolutely outrageous. Anyway, Ms Oakeshott, I think, I don't know what you think, you'll probably be more outspoken. I think that when Reeves stood up and did her, Richard III, as I call her, did her speech today about the third runway, which she and Starmer have obviously worked out is a necessity, I think that it will show, and is beginning to show, irreparable splits within the Labour Party. David Miliband, Ed Miliband, I should say, who you would think would be involved, Energy Secretary, net zero, nowhere to be seen. Sadiq Khan already has come out and said, I will resist this with all of my might. It will create air pollution, noise, and will not allow us to meet our climate change targets. They're in a pickle, aren't they, Isabel?
This is now reminding me, it's like Groundhog Day. I mean, how many years ago was it that Boris was saying that he was going to actually lie down on the tarmac in front of any diggers or anything that was going to create a third runway? Do you remember that? I mean, that was literally like, I think it was sort of about 2011 or 12.
I think it was. Yeah, it was about 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, absolutely.
Slowly things happen in our country. I think the whole third runway thing is only really interesting because of the rows that it's going to create and is already creating, and that is great entertainment for us. Is it interesting in terms of what it can do for our economy? Absolutely not. Look, Rachel Reeves today admitted that she was quite shocked by how crap planning policy is in our country. And I don't really know how she can be shocked. It just shows just how limited her circle of friends is, because if she'd ever tried to submit a planning application herself, she would know just how hopeless the whole system is. But nonetheless, that seems to have taken her by surprise. So if you can't even get permission to put an extra window in your house or build an extension, can you imagine what hope there's going to be?
Well, I said to Ian, you're in Dubai, right? I know, because I've been there lots. Abu Dhabi, they guaranteed some years ago to build this racing track at the Yas Marina. That's what they called it, over in Abu Dhabi, 80 miles from where you are. And this is the difference between the country that you're in and the country that we're in. And this is planning is so central. They said we'll do it in 3 years. They built the most modern, up-to-date. It's extraordinary. The Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi is world-class, right? You watch the racing through glass. It's extraordinary. This would take the third runway, they reckon, 7 or 8 years to get through the planning stage. And today we have the ridiculous scenario of Starmer saying, I'm going to evoke Margaret Thatcher. I'm going to break down red tape. This man loves a bloody committee in a quanker. This is just words. And I really think that the British people are fed up with words, Isabel. I think they can see through this stuff now. And I think all politicians need to take note, because I think people are just seriously fed up to the back teeth. I mean, in the same speech as she talked about growth, she said, I can't rule out more tax rises in the spring budget. That's because you messed up with your budget last time, love.
Well, there are a bunch of other growth killers that she included in that speech. I mean, she said casually that she wants to actually increase immigration from certain categories of high-skilled individual. Well, we're all in. I think pretty much everybody is in favour of very, very specific high-skilled immigration. Any sensible country, any growing country wants to have the brightest and best. The problem is, at this point, nobody trusts their approach to immigration, and we've already got a come one, come all policy. So why does she feel the need to say, actually, we want some extra people? No doubt all of them will be bringing all sorts of relatives.
Can I just say thank you, because you have literally managed to alight on something that annoys me more than anything. Why do the bedwetters, Isabel, why do all the lefties, all of those people always make us think or try to convince us that every single migrant is a highly skilled physician or whatever, a scientist or chemist or something that's going to bring great things to this country? No, they're not. Those people talk about the criminals. They never talk about the people who arrive here, throw their papers away, runway and disappear into society. It's an absolute travesty to sell migration as, oh, it's just about skilled workers. Of course we want skilled workers, but we also want to get the people that come to this country for no reason but to screw it out. And I just... Harry Cole was right just now. He was saying, you know, they said something during the election, but they didn't have to say a lot. They've lied on tax. They've lied about the heating allowance. They're screwing farmers. I mean, it is... To me, there can't be a plan. Today he invokes Thatcher. When he got there, he removed the picture because she was a scourge on society, apparently. What do they actually think? What do they mean? There's no conviction and no plan. And I think it can only be a horror 4 years. Sorry to be on a downer. It's how I feel.
Let's just step back for a minute and also note just how unusual it is for a Chancellor to give what was almost an hour-long speech and then take questions not only a few months after her supposed once-in-a-generation budget. This is desperate stuff. I can't actually think of it ever happening before. A Chancellor, not in my time as a political reporter, which is far too long, a Chancellor having to deliver effectively a whole other budget-style speech. She is seriously on the back foot. And while some of what she announced today sounds good, I mean, she had to go at the absolutely crazy bat tunnel that we spent 100 million of taxpayers' money on, and she talked about, you know, not being held back by the greater crested newt. Unfortunately, all of what she's announced is undermined fundamentally by the things she's doing to kill growth, which is these sky-high taxes. You know, employers are leaving, investors are leaving, wealth creators are leaving. And these raft of new workers' rights, which is absolute poison to growth. You know, billions of pounds worth of extra rights for workers is only going to put companies off employing more people.
And I think you're right, because you've got a government, I think, that spouts growth and doesn't know how to do it. You've got a certain wing of the party who are desperate to implement every green target known to man, which suddenly those on the right, like Starmer and Reeves, have gone, that's not going to be possible financially. The third runway, very quickly, are you a supporter of a third runway, yes or no?
Not really. I just don't think that it's where we need the growth. You know, there's already 7 runways in London.
Yeah.
Many would argue that actually, if you're going to create extra airport capacity, do it in the regions. And as for this Oxford-Cambridge corridor, Oxford and Cambridge are 2 of the wealthiest towns and cities in the UK. This is not the area that actually needs a massive injection of extra government subsidies. We've actually got to push growth all the way up through the country, not focusing on places.
Imagine a politician. I mean, you listen, absolutely spot on again. It's all about the M21. Couple of voice notes for us to listen to about the third runway. Rich in Southport, go.
Just worked out why they want the third runway at Heathrow and they want all them other runways around the country. Labour want to import more people, mate. Great show.
Isabel, interesting.
Well, I'll tell you what would make me in favour of a third runway if it was exclusively used to deport illegal immigrants and foreign criminals. In that case, I'm well up for a third runway. Let's have a special dedicated runway for deportations.
I said to Ian, I must just do this with you as well, because it was just fantastic. There was some footage of Trump this week. He had a bit of kickback, didn't he, from the Colombian president, who said, no, you can't send Colombian criminals shackled home. I'm not having them. And he was on the 6th hole. If you can catch this online, it's brilliant. Playing golf with Durrell. He took the call from the White House. By the 8th hole, people, which is about 25 minutes later, he'd already instigated a 25% tariff against Colombia and said if you don't do it within a week, it'll be 50%, and the guy dropped it. You wouldn't have that here. Tony's in Bradford. Go.
Look, this third runway will never be built with Commie Starmer running the country, pushing this green, stupid agenda down our throats, you know, like green crisis, climate crisis. It's all rubbish. It's just another way to make money. And I tell you why it won't be pushed. You've got like Sadiq Khan. Oh, it's going to cause pollution. Well, yeah, look at the underground. You need a bloody gas mask to get on them trains.
Brilliant. I mean, these are genuine people. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to London with Isabel. Ian, you're on Talk Drive. What you got?
Right, Jeremy. How much did Wembley Stadium cost to build? What was it supposed to have been? What was it the cost of initially? It was 100 million.
Yeah.
It ended up at 800 million because every time they do anything, you've got to have 15,000 committees just to pick up a paperclip.
Well, don't worry, because Keir Starmer's going to get rid of red tape. He's invoked the spirit of Margaret Thatcher.
No, this is all smoke and mirrors. Let's do about a runway so everything else that's going on in the country suddenly gets pushed aside. All the business, as Isabel will know, all the business with immigration, all the business with the NHS, all the business with like everything else. Everything is all suddenly been hidden because we're all talking about a runway that will never, ever get built.
Very interesting point. And in fact, I mean, that's really interesting, isn't it? And somebody, Isabel, in the midst of that, texted in and said, Starmer invoked Thatcher today. Does that mean he'll have the balls to take on the unions? Isabel Oakeshott. Good points, I have to say.
Absolutely zero chance whatsoever. And actually, Michael O'Leary, a boss of Ryanair, gave a cracking and absolutely eviscerating press conference today in which he was very plain speaking about this third runway thing, calling it a dead cat policy. He made the point that if the government actually wanted to boost aviation, the single easiest and quickest thing they could do would be to ditch the air passenger duty. It doesn't raise a lot, but it really adds a lot to the cost of holidays. And, you know, that would be a quick boost and a quick injection instead of talking about something that, frankly, we all know is never going to get off the ground, certainly not long.
See what you've done there, off the ground. See, that'll go viral. You did it, didn't you? You wrote that, didn't you?
I really, you know what? Unlike Keir Starmer, these things just come into my head.
I know Michael O'Leary from horse racing. He called her Rachel Rubbish. I think we might go. We've had Rachel Thieves. We've had Richard III, and we all know what Richard III is. Maybe she should be flushed down a bog somewhere. But on a serious note, there's a lot of people that can't understand. Just to sum up with you, there seems, as Harry Cole said, Isabel, to be sort of different parts. We want growth, but we're going to tax businesses, small and big, who are losing money hand over fist. Workers' rights will bring in to protect people, but that's going to make businesses not able to make money. We're going to allow lots of migrants to come in, which is going to overstretch our public services and destroy the crap infrastructure we've got anyway. I genuinely believe they ain't got a plan. What about you?
I think they're in an absolute panic because they know that the economy is heading for the buffers. You know, we're already bumping along the bottom. If it goes into recession, she's really in trouble, and she knows that. And this was an extraordinary intervention today. It doesn't really add up to a row of beans. I did think she performed quite well. She sounded confident, but none of it is going to amount to anything unless there is actual movement in those figures in the direction that she needs there to be. And when you talk to the economists, you talk to the experts, most of them are very, very gloomy about the prospect of that.
Really appreciate you coming on. Always do. We love it. Isabel Oakeshott, Talks International editor.